Hello and welcome to In the Know. I'm Mark Crosby of Quincy Access Television. Thank you for joining us. In the Know is a program that, helps you to stay informed, helps you to keep up to date with current information. Today we will be spending time with the Norfolk County Sheriff. That would be Patrick McDermott. So Sheriff McDermott, welcome back to QATV. You're here on a monthly basis.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you as well.
2024.
That's right, first episode of the year.
This is it. So, Happy New Year.
We had produced a lot, jointly, we produced a lot of programs in 2023. I hope to continue in
Banner year in 23, and we'll
24.
continue to go. There'll be plenty more initiatives this year to talk about.
Great.
And we'll bring back a few of our old programs as well. So,
Very good. Very good.
oldies but goodies.
You and I also were chatting before this program started, and I had mentioned that some of your employees also branch out and do programming
Yes.
on their own. We mentioned Cheryl Bambury.
Sarah Bambury, she's great. She's been working with the department for years, and specifically on senior programming, working with councils on aging on all of our senior stuff. Our Are You OK program, which we've talked about here, in terms of making phone calls every day to seniors and having more seniors sign up for that program, and scam initiatives that Cheryl educates the seniors on, and a whole variety of programs. So she goes out consistently. So I'm glad that she came on QATV, because I know the word gets out through this access cable show, and make sure that gets around the county.
It does around the county. We are sought after. This program is sought after. So we thank all of those stations for continuing to air this program. Let's talk about what we're going to talk about today. And I guess we'll start with Sex Trafficking Awareness Month.
Yeah, it's something that's very somber, of course, and it's a tough issue that we're grappling with throughout the country. It's a major problem that's been going on for years. And in January, we kind of put a special spotlight on it to just raise the awareness about how critically dangerous this issue is. And human trafficking, sex trafficking that goes on internationally, but also goes around within our communities as well. And there's a lot of vulnerable children and adults that actually get subjected to sex trafficking on a day-to-day basis. And sadly, when you look at the numbers, there's an estimate of 27.6 million who have been subjected to trafficking around the world, and that's just a staggering figure. And in Massachusetts, we've haven't been strangers to this, sadly enough. And there's been headlines in the paper that see when traffic rings get broken up. There's the most recent one that's currently right now in the federal system, with some high prominent officials that were involved in a sex trafficking ring. So these things happen quite frequently, sadly, and we just want to raise awareness to people that there are vulnerable people in our communities that can be subject to being victims of sex trafficking. There's a lot of predators that are online. They're also in plain view that will try to attract young people, both boys and girls, and they entice them with drugs, they entice them with gifts, with money, and the next thing you know, they're sadly being operated throughout hotels throughout the country. And oftentimes that's the case. Once they become under the hypnotism of a predator, they'll go away with them, and you might never see them again, sadly. And certainly we have a problem internationally with our border crisis that's been going on down the southern border. There's a lot between the drug trafficking and the human trafficking that are coming over the border from South America and Central America, Mexico. Just makes for the difficulty for law enforcement in trying to solve this problem. I don't think sadly it's not a problem that we're going to solve, but we have to crack down consistently on it.
I know at Logan Airport, I believe I heard a news story just the other day, might have been, just yesterday, that overnight 200 refugees, migrants have been sleeping at Logan Airport.
Yeah, Logan Airport sadly has become a shelter. Because of the amount of migrant population settling here in Massachusetts. I know the city of Quincy has done their fair share to help house some of those families down at Eastern Nazarene College, and I know several other places throughout the county, hotels, motels that are being used for temporary shelter, but we're running out of space. I mean, they've used the State Department of Transportation building in Boston. They're using Logan Airport, and I think they're starting to look at other state buildings that are underutilized, but Massachusetts can't bear the burden of solving that crisis, and I think Governor Healy has been quite articulate in terms of making sure that there's a federal response to this, and she's been consistently working with the Biden administration to try to work on the migrant issue and comparably the sex trafficking issue. I mean, this is a federal issue that needs a federal government response. Unfortunately, we on the local level are the ones that have to deal with the after effects of this problem. Once it's here, we have to deal with it. And so law enforcement does a great job staying on top of this and trying to educate the residents about what to look for. And certainly your own children, to be aware of. You don't want to scare your kids, but you want to look for signs, that your kid might be aloof or, going online consistently, and whether it's breaking curfews or hanging around with the wrong people.
And interesting, you had said, we're talking about minors, and just, I think it was just today, there was a law passed in Florida banning children under 16 from using social media.
And I don't know how you enforce that necessarily. Those things should be enforced within a household anyways, but sadly I think we have kids, as soon as they can put their hands on a phone, they're finding their way into social media. It doesn't take long, and the kids pick it up quite quickly, and it's dangerous. It's because that's where the predators are going right now.
So there are some phone numbers if someone believes that they know someone that may be a victim.
Yeah, we want to make sure that everybody, if you sense it, if you suspect that somebody might be a victim, there is a 24-hour National Human Trafficking Hotline, which is 1-888-373-7888. And that number is readily available 24 hours, but certainly report it locally as well. 911 in an emergency situation, or just contact your local police department to report any suspicious activity.
Let's now talk about self-defense classes and a partnership that the Norfolk County Sheriff's Office has.
We're very proud of this. We're, I think, a year into our partnership with the Vanessa Marcotte Foundation. One that, once again, we see an unbelievable program grow out of a senseless tragedy when young Vanessa Marcotte was visiting her mom out in the Worcester County area, and she went out for a jog. And this was not first thing in the morning before sunrise. It wasn't at night. It was the middle of the day. And she was accosted by her assailant, and sadly she tragically was killed. And so out of that came the Vanessa Marcotte Foundation, started by a bunch of friends of hers. And it was about empowering women to have self-defense tactics at their disposal so that they could be more powerful in terms of dealing with any potential assailant. So what we did is we partner up with them. They bring their trainers to our facility, and we had several of our members of our staff get trained. So it was a train the trainer session, and then they shadowed us for a couple of sessions as we went around the county and giving this program out to many women who took us up on the opportunity, and now our trainers have been kind of set forth to do our training on our own, which was great. And we just had our first training last night in Medfield, and I think we had over 20 participants in that, and it's been an enormous success. Great feedback that we get. I don't have the specific website for the Vanessa Marcotte Foundation, but you can certainly Google that, and that will come up. And I urge everybody who is interested in taking a self-defense class with us, follow us on social media. We have these pop up frequently as we get locations. So follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and the various other social media outlets so that you can actually be the first one in line to get registered.
And we should mention that these aren't high impact sessions.
No.
It's instructions so that everybody would be able to defend themselves.
Yeah,
no matter the age.
No matter the age, the young children up to seniors. These are very simple techniques that are trained. I mean, this is not a full martial arts course. It's a couple of hours with our instructors that just give you a little extra tool. And when you demonstrate them live in the class, it empowers you because they work. And when you can sense that empowerment, it's just an extra tool for somebody to have in God forbid the scenario that they have to use it. But we hope it never happens. But if it does, we hope they're well trained and they can escape a possible assailant.
The next topic we are going to cover is actually going to take up a good portion of this program, and those are scams and the various scams out there.
Yes, I'm a bearer of great news, aren't I? Now, unfortunately, these con artists have been around since the dawn of time, and with the advent of new technology, they're getting more sophisticated. And
we all heard about the shell game.
Exactly.
Years ago. Right?
Years ago, the shell game always got people for a take. But unfortunately now they're using social media, they're using computers, email, phones, and the phone scam has seen a huge uptick. These are scammers that will utilize a local phone number. So here in the city of Quincy, and I mentioned it before the show, I get phone calls from 617-479 whatever, and it looks like a Quincy phone number. And so, I don't typically answer any calls unless I have them logged in my phone anyways. I always send them right to voicemail. That's part of the urging that I tell everybody. But, for those that pick up, just be careful, because there could be a scammer on the other end. They're going to call you to try to get a hold of your bank account, a credit card. They're going to use some degree of urgency. Oftentimes it's using the sheriff's office, for instance, in a scam, or the local police department, the IRS, something that's of urgency that, either, we have your son or daughter under custody and they need to be bailed out. And if you give us your credit card right now, you can get a $2,500 or a $25,000 bail and we'll release your kid. A whole host of things. IRS, you owe taxes. This time of the year, it's going to pick up because taxes come up around April. So people are going to start getting a scam that says, we're from the IRS. We're looking, you owe us money, and if you don't pay us, then we're sending somebody to pick you up. So these are classic telltale signs. First and foremost, no government agency, whether it's a law enforcement agency, the federal government, the state government, the Department of Revenue, no one is going to ask you for money over the phone. No one is going to ask you for your bank account. So that's a red flag right outside the gate. If somebody's asking you for money or payment, especially a sense of urgency that has to be done. So I just urge everybody, if the phone is the number one scam that's going on these days, just be aware of it. Secondarily to that, we get the email scams that come up, and those are getting even more sophisticated as well, because you can get, I get every day, I get a thank you for your purchase. The thank you for your purchase sounds friendly enough, like, oh wow, because I buy stuff through Amazon all the time, and like, what is that? And it'll actually show you a receipt. It'll show you a PayPal receipt, an image of your receipt that you just paid for something. Now the trick there is that you didn't buy it, and you didn't buy it. So the first reaction you want to do is click on that. Say, no, I didn't buy that. I'm gonna talk to this person who charged me, even though you were never charged. But when they get you on the phone, they say, oh, let me reverse that charge. We used the bank account. Why don't you give us your bank account number? I'll make sure that charge gets released. And the next thing you know, your bank is wiped out. So the email scams are out there as well. Social media is another one that just is unfortunately way out there.
And with the mailbox phishing, there's, I guess, has been a recent problem in Needham.
Yeah, we've got a lot of reports around the county, but Needham in particular, that you've got scammers. They're thieves, is what they are. They'll be going. They go fishing through mail. They'll find access into your local, as innocent as dropping off your bills in the post office box right in your neighborhood. People are breaking into them. They're taking the mail, and what they're doing is what's known as check washing. So they're able to use a solution that will, if you're paid to the order of National Grid for $285, that's actually on the low end for most people's bills these days. But whatever that bill might be, they'll fish those checks out, check wash them, and they'll put another name on them, cash those checks, and then they're gone. It's very difficult to track these things. So sadly, the only solution to that is either, get to know your mailman or mailwoman and give them directly your bills, or go to the post office. Those post office boxes, sadly, are not good enough. And the other problem that the postal inspector's been reporting as well is not just you dropping off mail, but as you know, the post office delivers mail to their local carrier. So they're starting to keep an eye out for the brown boxes that are typically used as delivery stations for your local carrier. So big issue with the post office these days, and major problems going on there.
And getting back to phone scams for just a minute, I had informed you that I received it was supposedly from UPS, that a package, it was a text, a package couldn't be delivered, asking for action on my part.
It happened. We all get the deliveries at the house, and you will get text messages from legitimate ones on occasion from Amazon or whoever the local carrier is. However, you got to be cautious. Make sure you know what's getting delivered, because if you get a text that says, "Hey, your package was delivered," and you realize it wasn't, whatever the case may be, they're phishing for you. They're trying to get you to click on that link. That link will deliver you into a technology thing that's going to be, they're going to try to get your IP address. They're going to once again loop you into a potential conversation where they'll ask you to input your credit card number so they can track your package for you. And so nobody should ever be doing that. Under no circumstances should you be entering, unless you're actually buying something through a legitimate website. If somebody's fishing for your money, for your credit card, your bank account, don't do it.
And often these emails will be filled with misspellings.
Yes.
And you should also check the address, the web address, because often that web address will have words in there that seem
they'll be just a little bit off. They'll just be a little bit off.
So fake warranties, that's another issue.
So fake warrants, actually. The warrant for your arrest is out there.
I needed my glasses.
That's fake warranties are out there too, I guess. But the warrants are constantly coming up, and sad that we put a real life scenario into people's living rooms right now. We had a formerly incarcerated individual who did his time. Was released months ago, back on his feet, back with his family, working, productive member of the community. His employer got a phone call by somebody representing that he was an officer of the Norfolk County Sheriff's Office, and that Joe Smith, his employee, is now subject to being recalled, being back to the jail because of whatever violation of probation. And so unless the employer was going to be helpful to pay off what this employee owes, or the fine that he had committed. So in this particular scenario, the employee, who was very distraught, who had got his life back together, got on the phone. They were able to get a phone number for the person that was trying to pull off the scam, was able to get on the phone, and held him on the phone long enough to get his wife while they were en route to drive, because they actually thought it might be real. So they actually said, "I'm on my way to the jail." The husband and wife presented themselves at the sheriff's office, where we had our investigator come out, clearly identified that it was a scam. These people were in the process of trying to get money out of them, and we currently work with the FBI on all those things. But that happens far too frequently. It's not the first instance, and sadly it won't be the last. But once again, law enforcement, we're never going to be calling you on the phone and telling you that we're going to come and get you. If we're coming to get you, we're going to find you and get you on our own. We're not going to give you the heads up.
I understand. Let's kind of recap the winter, although the winter is not over yet. But let's talk about the winter thus far.
So the winter thus far has been somewhat mild. We've been fortunate enough to avoid major snow calamities or major storms that cause public safety to get out of control. But at the end of the day, we've had a couple of programs that we've tried to help some people in need this winter. We had a very successful Coats for Kids and Families Drive that came up in the beginning of, in December and the beginning of January, that we were able to collect new and gently used coats, because even though we haven't had too much snow, it has been pretty cold. So everybody needs a coat, and there's a lot of need out there. So we had a partnership with Anton's Cleaners, and we collected our coats. We had over 100 coats collected through our agency, and those coats were then repurposed. They were cleaned up by Anton's and then redistributed to various centers for distribution to needy kids and families. So we're very blessed with that. And our second big program that just came out of the blue from an idea, because I think there was out of a need. We had a senior that reached out that was concerned about their sidewalk and ice, and so our director of community engagement and our engagement team were able to coordinate a partnership with Home Depot. We were able to get a bunch of sand buckets, those 5-gallon buckets, and we were able to partner up with the local DPWs in the various communities, particularly Holbrook, Avon, Norwood, Weymouth, and Stoughton, I believe. And we were able to deliver 64 sand buckets to seniors throughout those communities, and that weren't able to get out for themselves. And this is something that's critical around our communities, that there are a lot of folks that can't get out of the house, or are frail enough that they don't want to because of the ice and the scenario. So we have this program in place that we will come and deliver you a bucket of sand if you potentially need one. And we still have a few buckets available. Please reach out to us. We have an email address. You can get to us at outreach@norfolkcountysheriff.org. And one of our team members will take your information and we will deliver you a bucket.
I guess we'll end the winter recap on the Giving Tree, and there's a couple of photos that are associated with that.
Yeah, awesome program. We've been doing it for a couple of years now. We partner up with the Department of Children and Families, DCF, and they give us families that are in need every Christmas season, and we put up the tree in our lobby, and inevitably those cards come off the tree as fast as we can put them up. And staff and partners that we have bring in those gifts, and there's an abundance of joy that we get in delivering those toys. And I know my staff, who goes out and gets the opportunity to bring those gifts to the DCF centers, there's a smile on everybody's face knowing that some little kid's going to get what they need for Christmas. And it's amazing, the generosity. In years past, we've had people donate bikes, iPads, like major donations. It's not just pairs of socks. It's major stuff, and so the generosity's there. And I thank the staff and the partners of the Norfolk County Sheriff's Office for their participation.
And I suppose let's look forward, and we'll start with a partnership with MIT.
Yeah, we've got we're constantly looking to grow our educational programs within the sheriff's office for those folks that are incarcerated, and part of that is education. Education is the foundation by which anybody is going to succeed in life, and that's no difference when it comes to an incarcerated individual. So, who better to partner with than one of the top universities in the world? And MIT has been very generous in coming to the table with their Educational Justice Institute at MIT. And they're basically providing courses for those incarcerated individuals that qualify for the program. And they can actually get collegiate credit while they're incarcerated. This gives them the confidence that they can, in fact, do this kind of curriculum. And it's a focus on technology, there's computer science, there's all kinds of courses that are offered. And our teachers work directly hand in hand with MIT to bring these programs into the facility. And when these folks graduate from the program, they actually can apply those courses to collegiate curriculums.
Let's look now to legislation and legislation for reentry.
Yeah, so our goal at the Norfolk County Sheriff's Office is to set individuals up as much as possible for success as they re-enter. So last year, I had the opportunity to support legislation that was filed by Representative Fluker Oakley from Milton, relative to folks incarcerated getting access to state identification through the RMV. It's real. These are basic things for you and I, for the most part. But once you get incarcerated, there's oftentimes a lapse in getting your license renewed, or some people don't have access to a state identification in the first place. And so, in order for you to get a job, to apply for schools, you need access to identification. So this legislation gives us that opportunity to partner up with the RMV and to tweak that system so that every person coming out of jail will be issued a state-issued identification card at minimum. At the same time, we're working with the RMV to work with them if they've lost their license or their license is expired, or they're trying to get their license in the first place, how we can streamline that process as well. Because I say to people, usually the drawback I get is like, my gosh, all these folks are getting free stuff and they're getting privileges that we don't get. And I said, these folks that come in, they've committed crimes, yes, but half the time they've dealt with a life of substance use disorder, mental health, broken families. They're here committing crimes for a reason. My job is to rehabilitate them and get them on the fast track to success. And if some of these things, like a state-issued identification card or a license, is the small obstacle or impediment to get them the success story they need, that's my job. And when I'm delivering a product back to the community where all of our residents live, it's in our best interest collectively to make sure these guys are set up for success. So that's why we give them all these programs, whether it's a partnership with MIT or the Registry of Motor Vehicles. It's to set these folks up to success so that when they come back to live in Quincy or Holbrook or Wellesley or Foxborough, they're going to be set up to be a productive member of the community.
As we close, we should mention that the sheriff's office is hiring.
Yes, we are constantly, and I told the staff, we don't want to wait around until our staff is depleted before we start building our ranks up. So we are on a revolving hiring. The vast majority of our team are uniformed personnel, our corrections officers, our deputy sheriffs. And so we want to make sure that we constantly have a flow of applicants, qualified folks who can apply and who might have a willingness to make a difference or a longing to make a difference. And like I said, for corrections officers, great, but we also have non-uniformed opportunities as well. Caseworkers, teachers, nurses, advocates. And so anybody that is interested in applying for a job at the sheriff's office, I can guarantee you, if you have some place in your heart that says, I want to make a difference, I want to lead a fulfilling life through my employment, come to work for the sheriff's office. And I think we have some graphics up that show folks how to apply, and we would gladly have you in for an interview.
And the last bit of information I'd like to share is the first annual Sheriff's Cup.
Sheriff's Cup. I don't even know how to skate, by the way. I used to watch my...
I don't. Weak ankles.
I used to watch my brother down on Wednesday nights in St. Anne's Youth Hockey at the arena down in West Quincy. And now I'm going to be having a Sheriff's Cup, the first annual. We want to bring some young kids, the squirt teams, into the Quincy Youth Arena during February vacation. So we're putting the word out, trying to get 12 teams in place. All of the proceeds that we raise through this program will go to NSO Cares, our nonprofit that goes towards programs for both in-house in the jail for the education programs that we offer, but also for the community engagement projects that we have consistently going out. So if you're a hockey fan, if you have a kid that plays hockey, call the coach up, have them sign up for the Sheriff's Cup.
Very good. And hopefully you don't have weak ankles. That's my excuse.
Nope, I couldn't skate at all.
Sheriff, I want to thank you for coming in. A lot of great information. Again, happy 2024, and we'll see you next month.
Yes, let's roll.
Very good. And thank you at home for watching. And please remember to support the local access station in the community in which you reside. Take care.